Hey everyone, it's Owen here from OTech, and today I will be unboxing another graphics card. Now this time it's an RX 460 from Sapphire. This is the OC single fan edition and the 4GB variant. So no, it's not the Nitro, but it's still a Sapphire card, so it should still be pretty good compared to the cheaper brands. Since Sapphire is actually owned by AMD, if you guys didn't know. So this is gonna go in my second Ryzen build. I know it's kind of confusing since my first Ryzen build video isn't even up yet, but I promise it's gonna go up soon. So that will be the first one with the GTX 1070 and also the Ryzen 1700X. Now this second Ryzen build is just gonna be a simpler, cheaper Ryzen build with the Ryzen R5 1400 and the RX 460 you see here. So let's get on to it. On the box front, you can see the Sapphire robot illustration as usual, and also an OC overclock sticker, just kind of slapped on the box. It's not printed, it's just a sticker. Also the same with the 4GB, it's just a sticker. So I guess it makes the box manufacturing a lot cheaper. And on the side, you just see the kind of model number and the serial and stuff. And on the back, it's just there's not much actually, not much that's actually specific to this card. So yeah, nothing really interesting unless you guys want to read all that. So let's just open the box and get on to it. So inside we get the typical second box, which is the brown box, and as you open it you get, first things first, the driver disc. And this I really like, and I hope a lot of manufacturers actually take note and do as well, since this shows Sapphire put a little piece of paper which says, for optimum performance, download the latest driver from the link. So Sapphire Tech or AMD.com. So yeah, that's what you should always do. Don't use the driver here. Only use it in emergencies when you don't have the internet connection for some reason. But otherwise, just download the latest from the AMD website or the Sapphire website. They're usually the same drivers, but usually AMD's is of course gonna be the most updated one. And over here, there's like some contact information and the user manual, graphics card installation guide actually. So there's actually quite a lot of languages over here, and over here we get the Sapphire product registration note thing, and right after that you see the packaging itself is pretty simple. Not much really protecting the card except for the bubble wrap / anti-static wrap. There's just some foam on the side and also on the top to stop it from moving around and sloshing about in transit, but otherwise not much in terms of packaging effort. Now let's just take a look at the card itself. So here it is. It actually comes with like protective plastic from the factory, although it's not even really applied properly, but I have taken it off first since I have already opened this box. And just to be fair with the Indonesian viewers as well in the Indonesian video, so you guys both get the unwrapping, I guess, peeling process, since I'll just overlay it over here. So yeah, here's the card itself. It's actually kind of long, which is kind of an odd thing to me, since you can see over here that the PCB is pretty much bare over on this side. Over here is just, there's nothing, so it's basically just like an extension of sorts so that it looks big, although the PCB itself doesn't really serve any function. So I get it how some people want a larger card since it looks cooler, I guess, in your system and it looks more powerful, but when it actually goes like and hinder the functionality of the card, I don't see why you should do that, since this longer end piece on the PCB really just restricts you to larger cases, and it won't allow you to use smaller cases that are just like the length of the board itself. So yeah, I don't know why Sapphire did that. And it's not the reason for the cooling system either, since the cooling is just handled by an aluminum heatsink, kind of like the Intel stock cooler, to be honest, like many of you pointed out on Instagram when I posted this. And on top you see an 80mm fan cooling the heatsink underneath. And you might think it's inadequate for a GPU to just have such a simple heatsink, but in actuality, because this card really consumes such a small amount of power, this really isn't a problem. So yeah, you shouldn't see any temperature issues stemming from this simple cooler. And although it doesn't have any heatsink on the VRM, which I seriously do not like, and neither does it have any heatsink on the VRAM, it should be pretty much fine since this card is a low power card. And on the back you see the PCB itself is matte black, so that's a really nice touch. It looks clean, although this many like graphics and writings and other stickers on the back really does take away from the look, but I guess that's what you have to do when you sell a product, to put information on it. And on the back you have the like I said, I've already opened this, so I took off the HDMI already just to test out the card. And here's the display port and also a DVI port, which is kind of hard to remove, so I won't bother, since you know how a DVI port looks like. And there's also the exhaust vent over here on the I/O shield, and it actually does help exhaust some of the heat, although it's just a small amount, since it's only going to be the air that's coming from this side of the fan, since the other side is just basically going to go swirl around inside your case. Although it's not a big deal since this card is such low power, so the heat coming off of it isn't really a large amount by any stretch of the imagination. And yeah, this is basically a really simple card. It doesn't even have a PCIe connector to power the card, so it just consumes all the power from the power pins on the PCIe slot, and it should be fine then still, since this card is still below 75 watt TDP. Although if you overclock it and increase the power limit, which you would have to if you overclock, since it will otherwise just hit the power limit, then you would go over the PCIe 75 watt spec limit. Although that's not really a big deal since I did that and it's fine. And another thing about the RX 460 is that you can BIOS mod this and turn it into a 1024 core card, so a fully enabled Baffin Polaris 11 chip, instead of the 896 that AMD ships the RX 460 with. And I did that with this, and it works pretty much fine. It works successfully, and I see no artifacts, and it overclocks the same. And although it does consume a little bit more power and does get a little hotter, but it's still fine and doesn't get over 70 degrees most of the time. And that's not even on a very high fan speed. So yeah, this is actually a pretty decent budget card, although beware of the PCIe power slot power connector not available, so you need to make sure you have a good motherboard that can supply all the power to the graphics card without it shutting down or catching fire. Although that's only a problem to older motherboards, but a cheap card like this might be used in an older system, so just be aware of that you have a good enough motherboard. Otherwise it's safer to just use a card that has an external power connector. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the card itself. It's pretty simple design. The shroud is just an aesthetic thing. It doesn't really help cooling or airflow, unlike in other cards. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you do, please leave a like and please click subscribe to see more of my videos. Thanks for watching.